Because I chime in with the haven't you people ever heard of? Closing the goddamn door. No, it's much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of poise and rationality. Alright, everybody, I know the summer just started, but welcome back to class.
Hi, it's me again, the guy whose video you're watching. So today's video is sponsored by Deme, which in a weird way isn't a real thing because it's my multimedia company, or at least the one I'm starting soon. Whether you know me or not, this is probably a surprise to a lot of people because I've been keeping this one under wraps. But over the course of the next 6 months, I will be working to start my own multimedia company known as Deme, where we create films, both animated and live action, music, and games, which I have already been working towards fairly consistently. Only issue is this doesn't really have any funding other than my own personal money. So I would like to direct all of you to the Dagon's Den Patreon if you actually believe in what I'm trying to do here, or if you just want to support me personally and you enjoyed the video. Patreon is where I'll be uploading projects that I don't think are good enough to go on YouTube, or sneak peeks at other projects that I'll release in the future. Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all get back to the video. I hope this was under 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, so I used to work in a thrift store, and yeah, that doesn't immediately qualify me for making a video like this, but I feel like I'm pretty damn qualified. So, hi class, I'm Danger Deme, and welcome to Danger Deme's Dangerous Guide to Thrifting. So my friends can thrift, and even more, so some of you can thrift better than I do. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Tip 1 is to get up and get going. But obviously it isn't that simple for some of us because we don't know how to get out of bed in the morning. When I go thrifting, there's 2 things I'm going to be doing consistently in my escapade. 1 is trying on clothes, and 2 is putting them on with things that look good together, right? So what you're wearing whenever you go thrifting makes all the difference. You don't want to wear anything that's annoying to put on or take off, right? No layers. Too many layers is bad because you're going to be going in and out of the dressing rooms, and you're going to have to put all of the layers back on at the end and take them all off when you want to try something new on. And in that experience, you're going to get really annoyed and not want to be out on the thrift anymore. So my advice for going thrifting is wear your least problematic fit, something simple, a t-shirt, regular jeans, and some shoes that can go with a lot of different things. This also applies if you're trying a specific aesthetic because you want to wear an outfit of that aesthetic, or at least something that's going to go with things of that aesthetic. So the best way to break that down is you want something really nice as the top, right? A nice top, maybe a t-shirt with a cool jacket. And then you just want to pick like some casual pants, your denims, your khakis, just something chill that you're not going to struggle to take on and off. And then you just want some really basic shoes because things like boots and all these things with like large straps are going to be really annoying to tie on and take off. You want something that you can just kind of put on, slip off. My pick is usually some white New Balances for something like this, but obviously you can do whatever you want. Just something that goes with the fit and is very useful on the thrift. Tip number 2 is to shop your closet. You know what you're going to wear out on the thrift, but technically you aren't done with your closet yet. Next thing you need to do is to go into your closet and figure out what you need and what you don't need. That sometimes you go on a thrift and you end up buying things that you already have, and you really don't need to do that. Thrifting is about saving money and not over consuming, which is what a lot of people do on the thrift when they don't check their closet first. So I look at it like grocery shopping. If I have eggs, I don't need more eggs, especially when the eggs are $9. I just need to go and buy the milk that I need because I haven't bought milk in 2 months. So my personal best way to do this is to categorize the items in your closet by style, color, and silhouette. What this means is you're specifically looking for particular traits in your fashion so that you don't double up on things you don't need. So style is always, what is the style of the item? What is the aesthetic you put this item with? Especially like when it's like blue jeans, it's like very basic, but it also can get very complicated with patterns and things like that. Second is color. Obviously, what is the main color of the piece? I say main color because for multicolored pieces, you want to know what color you are intending that piece to be, because as much as you think you're not intending it to be a specific color, you are. You just don't realize it. But also, so what does it make you look like? What shape does it give you? Is it baggy? Is it tight? Does it have a lot of pockets that build this clunky shape around you? These things matter when categorizing your clothes because you don't want to go out and buy the same thing twice. So, if a new piece is missing one of the three types you categorized in one of your old pieces, so say it's a loose fit faded blue jean that you already have, you don't need to buy another loose fit faded blue jean. But if you see a loose fit cargo blue jeans, that's a totally new item, and that is a good addition to your closet, especially when they're very versatile. So when you're out and you see that you have this regular pair of loose fit faded blue Levi's, that doesn't mean you go buy a pair of loose fit faded blue PacSuns. My third tip is to make a shopping list. We're going to continue that grocery shopping allegory because it's basically the same thing. I look at fashion like a necessity. So you want to write down what you're looking for. And I say write down, but we all know you guys don't write shit down. You don't open your notes app, you go to your Pinterest board. Use your Pinterest board. Here is an example of one of my boards on the screen. I do these before every thrift. I take note of what exactly I'm looking for. And I know you have the Pinterest board. Just use it instead of throwing it and making a new one in 3 days. Use the Pinterest board you already have. Go look on the internet for what you want. Make a list. I usually pick anywhere from 10 to 15 items, depending on my budget, of course. And speaking of budget, we all broke. I know y'all lying when y'all say y'all got all this money. You just sold what you already had so you could buy more, which is good habit. I'll talk about reselling in another video probably. That's good habit. But we all broke. We all balling on a budget. I know I'm balling on a budget, okay? So whenever you go thrifting, you want to know exactly how much money you plan to spend. And I always do this in ranges because normally people go, well, I'm not going to go over $300. Like when you say that in your head, you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to spend more than $300, and then you spend $300 plus tax, which is not what you said you were going to do. You said you weren't going to spend over $300, which is why I do things in ranges, okay? So this is how much money I plan to spend and how much I'm okay with spending, you see? If I'm balling on a budget, if I only got a certain amount of money, $0 to $20, all right? I ain't planning to spend nothing. Lowballing it, I want to spend $5. $0 to 20 isn't a good suggestion. Really, it's about $5 here. But with that tax added on, I'm okay with spending less than 20. I don't want to spend more than 20 because that means I broke the budget. I'm over here now, and I don't want to spend that much money. So I always do it in ranges, so I'm always accounting for tax. $40 plus tax still shouldn't put me over 60. Also, like walking around the store, adding all of your things together and then calculating tax is like, it's a little cringe. I guess you don't want to do that. You don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy, so you definitely don't want to be that guy. So just give yourself a range. It's easier. Tip number 5: pick a store, because y'all just be going anywhere, and I don't know how y'all do it. When thrifting, it's important to figure out where you're going. Thrift stores are literally everywhere, and sometimes you don't want to go to all of them. Like there's this place called Pretty Pink Boutique or something, and it's not for me. I wouldn't go hit it. So why is it on my schedule? But that's not the point. I could do a full video on how to pick thrift stores. But the thing I'm mostly looking for is proximity and price. I will say the online stores are obviously the closest in proximity, But instead of thinking about proximity in this case with online stores, I always think about shipping costs, because depending on the online store, the shipping costs can be ridiculous. So I categorize thrift stores into three categories. I do that a lot with categories. So we got thrift store A, which is a whole lot of cheap shit. All right, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of options, and there's a lower price. But you really have to know what you're doing in these places most of the time. And then we have places that are bougie enough to charge you $20 for a plain white tee. These are your Plato's closets, your uptown cheapskates, depending on where you live. Some local thrift stores, but a lot of local thrift stores usually fall into category A, not category B. And then we have, at this point, why are you even thrifting? These are the online stores that sell things at prices that you can't afford. And then there's also like some of the local stores that will upcharge based on like luxury or something, even though someone wore the Louis Vuitton shirt 16 times and threw it in the washer all 16 of those times. So it doesn't look good anymore. But they're still going to charge you like it's a brand new Louis Vuitton item. But whatever. If you're buying here, you probably shouldn't be thrifting. Go buy the Nikes new if you want to buy them off of a reselling store. Going a little bit more in depth on the category A stores, okay? This is where a lot of experienced thrifters go. So a lot of newcomers are going to go here and realize that there's not shit in here. They already got it, okay? The barrier for entry for these places is really high because they have a lot of stuff. They have really cheap prices, but everyone's here. All the thrifters have already bought it, or you're really going to have to dig for some gems, which like a lot of people don't have time for, which is why they don't go to these places a lot of the time. Goodwill, Salvation Army, that's usually what you're looking for. I would wake up early if you're going to hit one of these places because you want to get them when they restock, and you want to make sure you get there first. All right, and then we got the places that are bougie enough to charge you $20 for a white tee. Now, I used to work at Uptown Cheapskate. That's why I have so much knowledge on how these things are priced, okay? So things here are priced based on brand and not item, which is different from Goodwill and Salvation Army. Blue jeans are usually priced around $8, $8 to $10, no matter what Goodwill you go to, and usually no matter the brand. Now it's a little lower, but the range is usually the same for these places. However, for these, they will upcharge based on quality, brand, and how much they have in stock. Okay, so say you wanted to go to an Uptown Cheapskate, you're looking for a pair of Levi's. They're gonna charge you around $15 to $20, while the Goodwill is only gonna charge you $8 to $10. However, the quality is usually higher. It's easier to find things, and they're good for reselling. So if you had a bunch of items that you just need to get rid of, that were in your online stores that you were already reselling, I could do a whole video on reselling too, but you would take them to these places to get them out very quickly. But you're only going to get a couple dollars. Like anyone who resells to these places knows that you probably don't plan on making a lot because they're only going to give you about 10% of what you originally paid for the item. Okay, and then we have, at this point, why are you even thrifting? Now, all of these are online stores because in terms of the expensive stores, these are usually local, right? Like you usually don't have your luxury resale consignment store that's like a big brand. A lot of luxury resale is going on in the online space. Now, I'm not very happy with the online space right now because online resellers love to charge you an arm and a leg plus shipping fees. StockX, Depop, Goat, and even like Whatnot, but Whatnot is like a lot better at it. Whatnot is a lot better at it because Whatnot, you get a lot off of charging cheap for some of these things. It's the shipping cost that gets you on Whatnot. But StockX, you look at anything on StockX, you know it's marked up. Look at anything on Depop, it might not be marked up, but it probably is. eBay is really good on price a lot of the time though, because it's the OG. It's the original, so a lot of people haven't gotten the memo that the fashion influencers are looking to eat you alive on eBay. I mean on Depop. And also, this is where a lot of the wannabe Virgil Ablohs and wannabe Steve Maddens and Rick Owens are. Like it's like they put their own clothes like that they made in their garage on these apps as rare pieces for $100. Dude, that is a pair of busted up Levi's. I can see the hole coming out of the back. You wore these 18 times. Just because you spray painted your name on them doesn't mean they're a luxury item that you can charge $100 for. Like, I'm seriously sick of what's going on over here. Like, you're not Rick Owens. Stop acting like it. Sell the item for what it's worth. Have a pair of Levi's, okay? You're selling them for $80. Just because the actual website says 120 doesn't mean you're allowed to sell them for $80. But that's not the point. We're gonna move on. I could do a whole video on reselling and the online market, but I'm not doing that today. Okay, tip 6, we got quality versus quantity. Okay, so there's the $15 Levi's. You get one pair of Levi's for $15, or you get 8 pair of Shein denim pants for $15. Now, at first you're going, oh man, this is a better deal. But these will last longer. You won't be buying more. These, the Sheins, you'll wash them once and then they'll fall apart. You'll try to iron them and they'll melt because they're made of plastic. Over here, you got that good cotton. Even if it's a generic brand, it's a decent brand. It'll last you a decent amount of time until you get something a little bit more expensive, right? Over here, you wash it once and it's dead. So we want quality, not quantity. So when you're shopping at these places, you want to be looking for good quality items, not a good deal. If the good quality items have a deal on them, that's good. But over here, just because this is cheap doesn't mean you need to buy it. Unless like you really, really want to. But like this is a thrift. You're trying to save money in the first place. So you should have just bought off Shein new. I also like to briefly add on to this, like, don't buy clothes that don't fit. Like, you're just gonna not wear them. So if they don't fit, don't buy them. Know your measurements. That's it. Just know your measurements. And if there's a fitting room, try them on. Tip 7 is to go with friends. Mostly because whenever you're communicating with friends, all of you are shopping for specific things, and you make that very clear to each other, so you don't spend a fortune trying to figure out what exactly you wanted to buy. Your friends also can give you a second opinion, and they give good feedback most of the time. If you hang out with fashionable people, they say, oh, you don't need to buy this, or oh, you don't need to buy that, or oh, you were looking for this. Also, you can make a lot of ground when you go with a group. Like, say you were going to Goodwill Outlet with 3 to 5 people, you'll make a lot of ground instead. Like if you were going to Goodwill Outlet with like just yourself, like you're gonna be there for hours if you go just yourself. So going with friends is really important. Having a second opinion is really important because it can save you a whole lot of money. And also I get it's hard to do this for some people. Ask someone, like even people you don't know. I would just ask, like maybe you follow a really cool guy that lives in your area and you want to hang out with him or her or them, and they have really good fashion. You could just send them a text message on Instagram and go, yo, I know you know fashion, can you help me out and go thrifting with me? They're not gonna stab you. At worst, they just say no. Okay, that's not true. They might go ill, I don't know you, but that's not the point. Also, if you see me out thrifting and I have my headphones in, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I'm not gonna help you. Okay, that made me sound like a dick. Cut that out. Alright, and that might have been a quick video, but that's all I got. So subscribe to Danger Deme University, and check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/Deme, and check out my Whatnot affiliate code in the description at Danger Deme Shop, because I'm gonna start going live on Whatnot and selling my custom clothes for a reasonable price. But that's it. Y'all have a nice one.